Every animal on Earth lives in the present. A lion does not lie awake thinking about next week. A crow does not mourn a future it has not yet lost. A chimpanzee does not save food for a winter it knows is coming. Every creature that has ever lived on this planet, across 4 billion years of evolution, has operated on a single principle. Deal with what is in front of you right now. And then, somewhere between 300,000 and 50,000 years ago, one species broke that rule. Not by accident, not gradually. Something shifted, and when it did not just change how one animal behaved. It changed what was possible on this planet entirely. Every city, every vaccine, every war ever planned, every retirement account, every apology made in advance, every sentence that contains the word tomorrow, all of it traces back to a single cognitive leap that we still do not fully understand. The moment a human first imagined a future that did not yet exist. Neuroscientists call it the eternal present, the default state of almost every nervous system that has ever evolved. Stimulus arrives. Response follows. The animal is never anywhere except exactly where it is. Even species we consider intelligent are mostly locked inside it. A squirrel buries acorns. This looks like planning. It is not. The squirrel is responding to an internal hormonal signal triggered by shortening days. It is not picturing a snowy morning months from now and calculating what it will need. Remove the hormonal trigger and the burying stops. There is no mental model of the future driving the behavior, just chemistry following a script. Chimpanzees come closer. In 2009, researchers at a Swedish zoo documented a chimp named Santino who spent his mornings calmly collecting stones and hiding them. Then in the afternoon, when visitors arrived, he hurled them. He was gathering ammunition before the provocation existed, before there was anything to be angry about. This caused genuine excitement in the scientific community because it looked like anticipatory planning, and it was, in a narrow, specific, context-dependent way. But Santino never once prepared for a situation he had not already experienced. He rehearsed a known pattern. He did not invent a scenario that had never happened and prepare for that. That is the line. And humans are the only species that has ever crossed it. The fossil record does not preserve thoughts, but it preserves the evidence of them. For most of human prehistory, stone tools look almost identical across hundreds of thousands of years. The Oldowan toolkit, a basic set of sharp-edged stones, barely changed for 1 million years. Then, starting around 300,000 years ago, something accelerates. Tools become specialized. Different tools for different tasks. Hafted spears that require attaching one material to another, a process that serves no immediate purpose and only pays off later during a hunt that has not yet happened. Ochre, a red pigment, starts appearing at campsites far from where it naturally occurs. Someone carried it. Deliberately. Not because it was food or shelter. For a use they were already imagining before they arrived. Shell beads from 130,000 years ago found in Morocco show deliberate holes drilled through them. They were strung together. Worn. This is decoration, which means someone pictured how they would look before they made them. They held an image of a future self in their mind and worked backward from it. This is what archaeologists call behavioral modernity. And it does not appear all at once everywhere. It flickers. It clusters. It seems to emerge and recede across different populations over tens of thousands of years before it locks in completely, as if the capacity was arriving slowly, being tested, being stabilized. The neuroscience of what actually changed is still being written. But the current best understanding points to one region of the brain above almost everything else, the prefrontal cortex. In most mammals, the prefrontal cortex is small. In primates, it is larger. In humans, it is disproportionately enormous, taking up roughly a third of the entire cortical surface. And its primary function, the thing it does that nothing else in the known universe does as well, is mental time travel. Psychologists Sendel Tulving and Thomas Suddendorf spent years mapping what they call episodic foresight, the ability to mentally project yourself into a future scenario, to pre-experience an event before it happens, to feel something about a moment that does not yet exist and use that feeling to make decisions now. It is deeply linked to memory, not semantic memory, facts and information, episodic memory. The kind that lets you relive a specific moment, smell, emotion and all. The same neural architecture that lets you revisit the past lets you previsit the future. Your brain uses the same machinery for both directions. And this connection explains something strange about human behavior that no other theory accounts for. We are the only species that grieves in advance. A human told they have 6 months to live does not simply continue living until the moment arrives. They begin mourning immediately. They rearrange their life around a loss that has not yet occurred. They say things they once said. They make peace with people they have not spoken to in years. They do this because they can already feel the future. It is not abstract. It is emotionally real to them before it happens. No other animal does this. No other animal can. But the real proof of what planning made possible is not in a brain scan. It is in the archaeological record of a single behavioral shift that changed the trajectory of the species forever. Hunting. For most of early human history, our ancestors were opportunistic. They scavenged, gathered, took what was available. Hunting happened, but it was reactive. You saw an animal. You chased it or you did not. Then, sometime around 400,000 years ago, something appears in the record that should not be possible for a reactive brain. Ambush sites. Locations where large animals were repeatedly driven off cliffs or into narrow passes. Not once, repeatedly. Over generations, these sites required choosing a location in advance, understanding animal migration patterns across seasons, coordinating multiple hunters around a plan they had all agreed on before the animal arrived, communicating that plan in enough detail that everyone knew their role. There is no animal anywhere that does this. Even wolves, which hunt cooperatively, respond to prey in real time. They do not select a kill site 2 weeks before the hunt and assign positions. The ambush site is a monument to mental time travel. Somebody stood in an empty field and saw, in their mind, an animal that was not there yet, felt the future, and built a plan around it. Language followed. Or maybe language arrived at the same moment. Researchers still argue about which came first, but the connection is undeniable. Language is almost entirely about time. Almost every sentence you speak is about something that is not happening right now. What happened earlier? What will happen later? What might happen if? What should have happened but did not? Strip out all tense and conditional structure from human language and what remains is barely communication at all. The linguist Derek Bickerton argued that the explosion of complex language in the human lineage was not driven by the need to describe the present. Animals communicate about the present just fine with signals and calls. Language was driven by the need to describe the absent, the not yet, the might be. We built language to talk about time, because once you can imagine the future, you desperately need to share it with other people. A plan held in one mind is fragile. A plan shared across 20 minds, argued over, refined, committed to, is something else entirely. It is the first institution, the first organization, the first society. Every structure humans have ever built, literal and metaphorical, begins there. There is a cost to this, and it is one we pay every single day. The same machinery that lets you plan for the future lets you dread it. The prefrontal cortex that runs your retirement savings also runs your anxiety. The mental time travel that made ambush hunting possible also makes it possible to lie awake at 3 a.m. rehearsing a conversation that has not happened yet, grieving a loss that may never come, replaying a mistake from 7 years ago as if it were still occurring. The Hadza man napping in the afternoon shade is not doing this. The chimpanzee is not doing this. The squirrel is not doing this. Only you are doing this, because the future is not real. It is a model your brain constructs and inhabits as if it were, and that model runs continuously whether you want it to or not. The same gift that built civilization is the engine of almost every form of human suffering that is not caused by immediate physical pain. There is no surgery that removes one and keeps the other. Every other species on Earth still lives in the moment that is in front of it. They do not save. They do not plan. They do not dread. They do not hope. They are locked, perfectly, into now. And for 300,000 years before the shift, so were we. Then something opened. A door inside the human brain that has never closed since. And through it walked every version of the future we have ever imagined. Good ones and terrible ones. Cathedrals and weapons. Medicines and catastrophes. Every act of love made in anticipation of loss. The moment a human first thought about tomorrow, they were no longer just an animal. They were something the planet had never produced before. Something that could hold a future in its mind that did not yet exist, and decide, right now, what to do about it.